Cross offers occurs because due to the ignorance of each other's offer. When a proposal is said to be accepted, a proposal is said to be accepted only when a person to whom that particular proposal is being sent. If you want to convert a proposal into acceptance, then the acceptance should be absolute and unqualified. So in other words, the acceptance is complete only it has been communicated to the offerer. Hello students, welcome to the session 5 of Business Laws. Hi, George William, Commerce Faculty, Department of Commerce, Vidyashram First Grade College, the Temple of Excellence, Mysuru, presents you the session 5 of Business Laws. Dear students, before going to the session, I would like to just give a glance about the last session, that is in session 4, what all I explained to you. First and foremost, I'd explain to you about the meaning of offer, then the valid elements for an offer, right? So, who is a promisee, who is a promiser, then what is a proposal, what is an offer. So, like this, I'd explain to you all the important elements of offer and validity for a good offer. In today's session, let us understand the various other concepts or the topics related to offers and acceptance. Now, what is this cross offer? The meaning of cross offer. It says two offers which are similar. When two offers which have been made by two persons, X and Y. X is also making an offer, Y is also making an offer. So, both are making an offer together. See, when both are making an offer or giving an offer, it becomes an X. X cross, which is similar, which is same in nature, similar in nature in all respects. It may be whatever the offer is been made by A to B, and B is also offering the same to A in all respects. It is same, made by two parties to each other in ignorance. Why they are making this? Because in ignorance there is no knowledge about each other's offer. That is why this cross offers occurs. Cross offers occurs because due to the ignorance of each other's offer. What I am proposing, what I am offering to B, B doesn't know, and I doesn't know what B is offering to me or what he is proposing to me. So in that case, without having the knowledge, when there is no knowledge about the proposals of the offer, automatically there will be a cross offers where both the offers or others made by two parties will be similar in nature. So these are known as cross offers. Cross offers do not amount to what? To one's acceptance. So this cross offers, it does not mean or mere to acceptance, because both are making offers, both will not accept. What? Because I am also making an offer and the other person B is also making an offer. In that case, what happens? It does not amount to any kind of acceptance by any of the offerers. So this particular offer is entered into a offer, we call it as cross offers. So I think you understood what is cross offers. Cross offers means, again I repeat, it is where the two offers which are of similar nature are being in respect of everything, all the terms and conditions, where both the parties are making offers or proposals to each other, and thereby you cannot expect the acceptance of any of the parties to this particular cross offers. So example, you can see X of Agra, this person, what he says, he sends a letter by post to Y and of Delhi for selling his car, right? For selling his car to rupees 1 lakh. So X is offering, who is in Agra, he sends a letter or an offer through post saying that I am offering you to sell my car for rupees 1 lakh. And on the same day, this Y, this person also is sending the same offer saying that I also want to purchase, that is offering to buy the X car for rupees 1 lakh. So here on the same day, this person Y, who is in Delhi, sends a letter to post to X in Agra, who is residing there, who is residing in Agra, saying that the offering to buy Y's car. So X is also offering to sell his car, Y is also offering to buy his X car. So in that case, it becomes a cross offer because no one is accepting. It cannot be accepted. Now, what is standing offer? Standing offer is nothing but it is a continuous nature. The standing offer is also known as the continuous nature, and the standing offer is nature of tender. So it is the same thing as good as the invitation to an offer. So this standing offer is pretty good as this invitation to offer, and this particular contract is said to be entered only when when the order is placed, only when the particular order is placed on the basis of tender. So only on base of tender, when the order is been placed, this particular standing offer is been made, and which is of nature of tender, and that is very similar to the invitation to offer. So here you can see X Limited, it requires a large quantities of certain goods, and during 12 months period, and he gives an advertisement inviting the tender in the leading newspaper. So this person, he wants what? It is a very big company and they want large quantity of goods, that is certain goods, and which should be there for 12 months. The supply should be for 12 months. And for that he gives an advertisement and he invites a tender from the other persons in the leading newspapers. And this Z is submitting the tender to supply those goods of the specific rate. So this person Z, he sees that advertisement and accordingly he is going to submit a tender for supplying those goods at a specific cost or the rate. Right. Now Z's tender is accepted or approved. Now Z tender has becomes a standing offer. Now when it has been approved by the X Limited, whatever the tender which has been quoted, and if that particular quoted tender by the other party who is ready to supply that particular quantities for 12 months to X company, then that particular tender will be accepted one, and that becomes the standing offer. So that is about the standing offers. Now coming to the next important topic known as acceptance. What do you mean by acceptance? If I proposes or offers something to other person to do something or to abstain from doing something, then if the other person at the other end, if he or she accepts that particular offer or proposal, then that is called as acceptance. So if the other person at the other end, that is if X has proposed or offered a particular thing, that is he has made an offer or a proposal for doing something or from abstain from doing something, then that offer or the promise, if other party Y, if he or she accepts it in the same condition, right, then that becomes an acceptance. So acceptance means what? Giving the consent, saying that yes, I am accepting it, I am ready to do it, I am ready to not to do it, right? It is the consent to the offer. Acceptance means it is giving consent to the offer. It is an expression by the offeree. So acceptance is what? It is an expression. Expression means I am expressing my views. I am expressing my views, saying that yes, I am willing to do that particular thing, or I am ready not to do that particular thing. So his willingness is being given by bones of terms of offer. So whatever the terms and conditions there, you are going to accept it by your mere consent or by willingness. Then only it can be called as an acceptance. So section 2 of Indian Contract Act of 1872 says a proposal is said to be accepted. When a proposal is said to be accepted, a proposal is said to be accepted only when a person to whom that particular proposal is been sent or is been signified, right, to get the assent. Only then it can be called as a acceptance. So according to Indian Contract Act of 1872 of section 2B, it says a proposal is said to be accepted only when, it says, when it may signify the assent or consent of the other party to whom you are going to give the proposal or the offer which is been made. So a proposal when accepted becomes a promise. So a proposal or the offer, when it is been accepted, it becomes a promise. That is for doing something or in abstaining from doing something. So in other words, it says acceptance is what? It is a consent, very, very important, consent or the willingness from the other party to accept that particular proposal or the offer made by the offerer or the promisor or offerer. So you can see the agreement or the example for that. X offers to sell his car for Y for rupees 1 lakh, right? And Y also agrees to buy the same car for rupees 1 lakh. In that case, there is an acceptance for purchasing of the car. So X is offering or proposing for Y to sell his car for rupees 1 lakh. And Y is also in return accepting the proposal or the offer made by X, and he also accepting by giving his consent, saying that I am also ready to buy your car for rupees 1 lakh. So when there is an acceptance from the other party, then it is called acceptance of the offer. It is called as an acceptance for the offer. Now, as you have seen, what are the legal rules for a valid offer? Here also, students, we will see some of the legal rules for the valid acceptance. First and foremost, it says absolute and unqualified. It says whatever section 7(1) of Indian Contract of 1872, it says in order to convert the proposal into acceptance. If you want to convert a proposal into acceptance, then the acceptance should be absolute and unqualified. It is very important. So if you want to convert your offer or the proposal, right, into a promise or into acceptance, then it says that particular offer or the promise or the proposal should be absolute as well as unqualified. It means the offer must be accepted without any reservations or without any kind of conditions. So absolute or we say unqualified means when you accept that particular contract or the acceptance is been given or his consent is given or willingness is given for that particular promise, right, which is been made by the offerer as an offer or a proposal. If you give a consent or willingness or accept it, then there should not be any kind of the conditions being put. Only when there is no conditions, and if you accept without giving any conditions, then or without putting any conditions, then only it can be called as a valid acceptance. So a qualified and conditional acceptance amounts of making a marking of counter offer, which will put the end of the original offer, and it cannot be reviewed in subsequent acceptance. Example, it says X is offering to sell his car for rupees 1 lakh. So here the person X is offering to sell his car rupees 1 lakh to buy, that is to Y, and B agreed to buy it for 90,000. See, he is proposing for 1 lakh and this person is saying that is proposing, that is accepting for 90,000. Now here we act is the counter offer and not an acceptance. So here it is not an acceptance, it is an counter offer. He is saying, he is putting condition that if you give me for 90,000, I will purchase your car. I cannot pay 1 lakh. Only if you accept my condition that I will pay only 90,000, and if you accept it, then I can purchase your car. So now if Y accept the original offer to buy the car for rupees 1 lakh, then X will not be bound to sell the car to Y because of counter offer, which has put an end to the original offer. Here, second example, you can see X is offering 2 plots of land to Y at certain price. So X is offering some plots, that is 2 plots of land to Y at a certain price or a cost. And here Y is accepting the offerer of 1 plot. So Y is accepting the offerer for only 1 plot. Now it is well that the acceptance was not valid because X wants to sell 2 plots for some price, but Y is not accepting it because he wants only 1 plot. So he is willing to purchase only 1 plot. Under that condition, this particular acceptance will not be a valid acceptance. Third is the manner. It means Section 2 of Indian Contract Act of 1872 says that an acceptance on offer must be given in the following manner. If you want to accept the proposal or the offer made by the offerer, then there should be some manner. It should be in the prescribed form. It should be in the prescribed manner. So a proposal does not prescribe the manner. That means if a proposal does not prescribe any kind of the manner in which it has to be accepted, the offer must be accepted as usual. So if there is no format or there is no anything as such by the offerer that the acceptance should be in this particular manner only or in this particular condition only, then you can do it in a usual manner. If the proposal prescribes the manner in which it has to be accepted, then what happens? The offer must be accepted in the prescribed manner only. So if the offerer, he prescribes that this particular acceptance should be in this form only, then the acceptance also should be in that particular form only. For example, the offerer says, if you want to accept my offer or the proposal, then you should send your acceptance by letter through post. So you should write or give a consent by writing, and it should be sent in through post. So this may be a manner or a format or the form in which the offerer wants the acceptance to be given. So as I told you, X of Agra is sending letter by post to whom? To Y, that is of Delhi, is offering to sell his car for rupees 1 lakh. And he also writes what? Send your acceptance by telegram. See, this is very important. This is called the manner or the form of manner, or in which form the acceptance has to be given. So X wants to sell his car to Y, and Y acceptance has to be given through telegram. Only when he receives the acceptance through telegram, that can be a valid acceptance. Otherwise, he can reject the acceptance on the ground that it was not accepted because it was not in that particular form or it was not in the particular manner as prescribed by the offerer or the promiser. Next is communication. As I told you, communication is very, very important. The acceptance, it should be signified, or it can be declared, or it can be indicated through words. So it says you have to express it, you have to communicate, you cannot be silent. Whenever you want to accept some proposal, if you are accepting the proposal or the promise or the offer which has been made by the offerer, then you should communicate it to the person, that is to the offerer or to the promise. So in other words, the acceptance is complete only it has been communicated to the offerer. Only when you receive the offer and in return, if you accept it, then that acceptance has to be communicated back to the offerer. Only then that particular offerer, that is the proposal or the offer, is complete. Until unless you give your consent, unless you give your consent through communication, until unless you communicate your acceptance that you are willing to accept that proposal or the offer, then it cannot be an acceptance or valid acceptance. A mere mental determination to accept is no acceptance. Just by saying, okay, you just think, yes, I accept this particular promise, or I accept this particular offer or a proposal which is made by offerer or the proposer, then it cannot do so, or it cannot be, because you need to give it through communication. You have to give the communication through word mouth of acceptance. So X is offering to supply coal to railway company. So X is ready and is offering a proposing, or his proposal is ready to supply the coal to the railway company. In that case, the manager of the company, what he does, he accepts the offer and he put it to the drawer in his table and he forgets about it. Then it was held that no contract was made because the acceptance was not communicated. See, X is a person, one who is ready to, is offering or is making a proposal to railway company, that railway department, that he is going to supply the coals to the railways. Now this person, manager who is there in that particular railway department, in that section, he accepts that and he just puts that particular letter which has come from the offerer or the proposer, and he puts it in the drawer. And he is not communicating, he is not giving any response. So there is no response from the railway side. So in that case, when there is silent, that means it cannot be a valid contract or acceptance for that particular offer. Next is by whom the acceptance has to be. acceptance must be communicated by the offeree himself or by the person who has the authority to accept. Now, to whom this acceptance? It says acceptance must be communicated by the offeree, that is the person one who accepts that offer or the proposal. So that person is eligible. So, or the person who has authority to accept. So, if not, there may be some persons who will be having the authority to accept that particular proposal or the offer. So, that person can be the person to accept or to whom it has to be accepted. In other words, if acceptance is communicated by the unauthorized person, it will not give rise to any kind of legal regulation. So, only a valid person, it says the authorized person to whom the offer is been made, the proposal is been sent for acceptance, only that person can send the acceptance or can receive the offer and can send the acceptance. If any authorized person other than that particular offeree, then it cannot be a valid offer or it cannot be a valid acceptance. You cannot take into consideration from the point of view of legal relations or regulations. So it should be the person who is accepting it, the acceptor, or it should be on behalf of him any other authority who is ready to accept it. So here it says P applied for the post of headmaster in the school, right? And the managing committee passed a resolution approving P to the post, but this decision was not communicated to P. But once a member of the managing committee in his individual capacity and without any authority informed P about the decision. So here this person P has applied for the headmaster post in the school, and what happens? Here the managing committee has passed a resolution approving that this person can be appointed as a headmaster in the school. But that particular information is not been communicated by the managing committee, right, to the P. So what happens here? The managing committee cancelled this resolution, appointed somebody else, and P filed the suit for breach of contract. So when they did not inform him, the person, one who is appointed, he is gone to the court of law and he has sued them in the court of law. Now to whom? So it says first one is by whom. This is to whom. So here acceptance must be communicated, that is to the offerer himself. The acceptance should be communicated to the offerer himself. You cannot communicate to any other person. The person, one who is sending you the offer or the proposal, to him only the acceptance has to be sent. You cannot send it to any other authorized person. So it says if acceptance is communicated, if you are accepted that particular proposal or the promise, then that particular proposal, promise or the offer should be communicated, is communicated to any other authorized person, then it will not give rise to any kind of legal relations. So that's what I said. If you are accepting it, then you should give your acceptance directly only to the person that whom the offer has been made, to whom the offer has been made, right? So only to that person you need to give the acceptance. If you give to another or any other unauthorized person who has not given you the offer or who has not given any proposal, then you cannot claim the legal relations. So here you can see F has offered a letter to buy his nephew's horse for for $30, saying that if I hear no more about him, I shall consider the horse mine. The nephew sent no reply at all, but B is auctioneer not to sell the particular horse because he is intent to sell that particular horse to F. Next is time limit. The acceptance must be given. In this case, it says the acceptance must be given within the stipulated time period. If acceptance is not given between the stipulated time period, then it cannot be called as a valid acceptance. So if there is a prescribed time limit, for example, it may be like 1 month or 6 months, within that you should give your acceptance. Only then it can be a valid acceptance. If not, what happens? After the time expires, then you cannot take the acceptance, or you cannot give the acceptance and say that I want this offer I want this proposal, I will accept this proposal, and that proposal or acceptance will not be taken into consideration. So within that reasonable time which has been prescribed. What is reasonable time depends upon the facts and circumstances of the case. So you should always give acceptance within that stipulated time period or the stipulated prescribed time. So an offer was made to buy the shares of the company was made in the month of June, but the acceptance was given, communicated in the month of November. In that case, what happens? It was held that the offeror was not bound by the acceptance because acceptance was not given within the reasonable time. So in this case, the company will not accept your acceptance for purchasing of the shares because the time period was when it was made in June, but you are communicating in the month of November. So within June, you should have accepted and sent your acceptance for purchasing of the shares of the company, but you did not do so. In that case, your acceptance cannot be accepted. It cannot be a valid or legal acceptance. Before lapse of offer, if the acceptance has to be given, it should be given before the lapse of an offer. That means sometimes the offeree, once he offers it and before the acceptance, he may cancel this particular offer itself. So before cancellation of that particular offer, the acceptance has to be given under this case. So the acceptance must be given before the offer is lapsed or it is withdrawn. Before the offer could be withdrawn or before it could be lapsed, before that the acceptance should be given. Then only it can be called as a valid acceptance. So it says if the acceptance is made after the lapse or within that particular withdrawal offer, it will not give rise to any kind of legal obligations. So if you make the acceptance after the lapse of that particular time or lapse of the particular offer or after that is it is been made or withdrawal of the offer, then you cannot call it as a valid acceptance. So you can see X has offered a letter to sell his car for Y for rupees 1 lakh and X has withdrawn his offer by telegram which was duly received by Y. So in this kind, what happens? Before accepting itself, the offerer has withdrawn. He has withdrawn the offer made by the offerer to the offeree. So in that case, this cannot be a valid acceptance. So here you can see the reasons for the end of an offer. What are the reasons for the offer to come to an end? First is it says notice of revocation. It means the offerer can revoke his offer anytime, right? By sending a notice to the offeree. So if the offerer is sending a notice to the offeree by giving a notice for revoking that particular offer anytime before the acceptance, then that is called as the offer for revocation. That means the offerer can reject the offer before it has been accepted by the acceptor, or even though before the period where the offer is kept open and which has not been expired. So here you can see the offerer has made an auction sale which is having highest bid, but he has a right to withdraw, revoke this particular offer or a bid, and before it can be revoked, it can be revoked before acceptance. Second is lapse of time. As I told you, so when the offer state is that it is open until the particular date, the offer is there only until that particular date, and after that particular date, that particular acceptance, if you give it, then it cannot be a valid acceptance. So it says the offer will be terminated to that particular date if it has not been accepted before that particular time period or the time specified which has been specified by that particular offerer. Failure to fulfill the condition. So here an offer stands revoked by the offeree. Why? Because he fails to fulfill the conditions given in the offer. And if the offer contains what? Some conditions and the offeree has not taken the responsibility to fulfill that particular conditions, in that conditions the offers will come to an end. Okay students, I think you understood the concepts regarding the acceptance, the cross offer and the standing offer, and the legal acceptance which is required for the valid acceptance. So thinking that you understood the topics which are covered to you today in this session, so I take a leave from you. See that, just recall in memory what all the topics, the points were explained to you in this today's session. So see you in the next session. Until then, take care. Have a nice day. Thank you, students.